Hello people, today I'm going to show you how I do the vents and the lower hem on the top. So first of all, when I do the side seams, even though I have an overlocker, I'm sewing the side seams so that they have a seam allowance. And I've pressed this seam open, and these will be my vent flaps, and because they're finished off, they don't need to go under a second time. So that's stage one. Stage two is a little bit like I showed you the pockets. If you've watched that one, you may have, you may not. Sorry about the seasickness that goes on as I move things around. So to the outside of the bottom of the top, the bottom of the blouse, shirt, bottom of the top, just like, don't know where we are, do we? So this is the side seam. Look where I've pressed it open. This is the hem. This is the right side of the fabric uppermost. And what I've done, like I did with the top of the pockets, is fold up the hem allowance and fold a little bit back. And I've sewn down that corner where the fold of the side seam meets the hem that I've turned up, and I did that in all four corners. And what this does is it makes a lovely corner on the end without having to worry about loose bits, raw edges. So that's part two. So you do that on all four corners. Then you have to turn it through. So you fold that, oh, I can't do it, and let's see if I can get around here. So as I turn it through, I fold that under and then turn it through, and you end up with a, I've got one in a minute that I've done, a beautiful corner. I'll show you on the other one. Okay, so next one, excuse the flipping things aroundness of this. Okay, so here's the next one. Look, so I've sewn those corners and turned them through, and this is what I've got. So here's my hem, and here is the side vent, now pressed back because it's caught in that corner. There's my hem, now turned up because it's caught in that corner. And on this corner, it's beautiful, look. So I haven't got to worry about raw edges down that bottom corner where the hem and the side vent meet. Okay, so then when I've done that, like with the pocket, having done that, it helps you find the hem, and this one's just pinned, ready to go, and I've given it a good press now so that it's all ready to go. And what I could do now is I'm going to sew all the way round. Choose a starting point. I actually usually start at the top of the vent, so I'm going to sew, I can't find my finger, across the top of the vent. I usually go that way, and that way, to give it some strength. Then I sew down here, quite close to the finished edge, down to the bottom here. And then what I do, because we've got, let me get closer in, because we've got this little thing going on here, I mean, it's not raw edges, but it just bothers me. So when I get to here, I pivot and I go back to there and then carry on. And if I do that, I can get all the way back round to here. I'll show you. I've got one that I've done. Excuse me again. My ironing board is getting more disgusting by the minute, isn't it? I've borrowed an iron that I'm not used to, and I didn't realise you can't put it won't live face down without putting water everywhere. So I had it on a silicone mat, and I just had got a puddle, so I've got a wet puddle there now. Right, so the last one is the finished one. I haven't pressed it, so excuse the lumps and bumps. So here we go, look. This is where I started at the vent. I sewed down there. I went backwards and forwards here, all around the hem, just to prove to you that it does go all the way around without stopping. So then I got to here, and I backstitched to here and pivoted and went up this vent across the top. So I went across here, then I went back, and then I came back again because it just strengthens that area. I do also put a bar tack on the outside on that seam, actually. Then, so there we are at that vent. down to the bottom, back and forth. Actually, this is the side I started. Look, it's still got the tail on. I'll talk to you about tails in a minute. So down here, back and forth, along the hem. Trying to track it for you. Here it is. Along the hem, along the hem, along the hem, back and forth at the corner and up again. And you're all the way back round. And it's all nicely hemmed at the bottom. Yeah, what else is there to say? I think the other thing to say about the bits and pieces, I mean, I've got bits and pieces all over the place, is that can you really, really make sure that you've trimmed every last one of those off before they come to me? I mean, it only takes 5 minutes. It's a boring job, I know. Nobody likes doing it. And you have to be quite methodical so that you've caught everything. But if I have to trim those off or check them because I might need to trim those off every single one, it's going to be much longer between them getting to me and getting to the hospital. So if you're able to, before you pack them up, give a good look round for bits like that and trim them off. That would be really appreciated. So hopefully that's given you an idea of one way you can do the hem and vents that doesn't require cutting anything at the vents, because if you cut at the vents you've then got to finish that edge off somehow. You don't need to turn them under twice if you've dealt with that raw edge, and it gives you a chance to have a real good go with the sewing machine all the way around and back to where you started. Hope that's helpful.